Many of you who have been watching here on the channel for quite some time probably know that I advocate for financial independence. Not necessarily retiring early, because retiring is subjective to the individual. I'm more interested in financial independence. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I just saw a video from Tim Pool, which I'm a really big fan of him reading an article from CNBC saying that Gen Z has essentially given up on the American economy and the American dream. There's no reason to save because we really can't afford anything to begin with. Now, I have done a lot of videos here saying that I don't personally believe that Gen Z is lazy. Are there lazy individuals? Yes, but the generation entirely is more demoralized than anything, and it is because of the reasons that the article highlighted as well as he highlighted. In fact, I would actually like to react to a small portion of his video where he basically explains as to why Gen Z has given up. So here we have the video.
But let me put it this way. That $600,000 3-bedroom, you go to a Gen Z kid and say, you're going to need $120,000 down to buy this house. And they're going to laugh in your face. How the am I supposed to get 120 grand? And you're going to say to him something like, well, look, you're making $50,000 a year. Just start saving now. Your rent is $2,000 a month. So they're going to say, okay, I'm getting 50 grand a year. So I'm, let's see, let's just break the math down. 50 grand a year. They're like, I'm going to be taking home like, let's just say $900 a week. Maybe, probably 7 because taxes. I got to spend 2 weeks to pay my rent. I got $1,400 left. I need what, $1,000 a month for food because food prices are through the roof. I can't afford healthcare. You think I'm going to put that $400 into savings? Okay. I got $400 per month in savings. If I don't do healthcare, don't do dental. How long is it going to take me to save up $400 a month? You put it in your savings. You got a little tiny interest rate, maybe. All right. After a year, you've got $4,800. How close are you to that $120,000 down payment? Now, the argument is they're going to increase their salaries over time. Not with AI coming in, baby. You think you're going to be able to make more money when AI takes your job away? No. Corporate entrenchment is going to take everything.
And I gotta be completely honest with Tim, I fully agree. This is why you cannot save your way to wealth. It's just impossible. Inflation alone would just absolutely destroy it. This is why here on the channel, I advocate for, once again, financial independence. Now, when it comes to financial independence, that could be accomplished through rental properties. That's one way, which odds are if you can't buy your primary home, there's no way you could buy a rental property. Not only that, the barrier of entry is ridiculous. The fact that, you're going to have to get a management company unless you want to do all the work yourself, dealing with tenants. And if tenants know that you're new at this, they are probably going to take advantage of you. The only other place where I personally believe, in fact, the only place right now that you can actually make financial independence would be the stock market. And more specifically, dividend investing, because that is the only real way that you can make a little bit of income on the side without having to actually do much of anything. I mean, he even just said that, yeah, your wages will go up until AI comes in, robo-taxis come in, Uber's going to go full automatic. Like when it comes to robo-taxis, yeah, all of this will eventually go away. So what in the world can you do? Well, again, invest in the areas where this is actually going so you can actually get some kind of income back. That is essentially why I advocate, and that is why every single month I go through my portfolio showing everybody that it actually works. In fact, let's go over this right now because it is halfway through the month, and I would actually like to show everybody who probably is feeling a little bit disheartened by everything that you probably just read by Tim Pool. And even if you haven't heard it, you probably have felt it. So I'm going to show you guys exactly that it is possible to achieve this financial independence. It might take a little bit longer for you to afford that house that you really want, that $600,000 house. But at the end of the day, there is a way still out for now. So let's actually go over my portfolio, how it did in the month of June so far. We're halfway through the month of June, the buys and the sells, and the dividend payment so far for the month. Because y'all know June is by far one of the best months. So let's get started with that. So let's take a look at my portfolio for the date of June 1st to June 13th. Excluding net contributions, the portfolio has gained $4,265 and a penny. Now, if we actually compare this to the rest of the indices, my portfolio is actually the highest right now. Obviously, you guys know that when it comes to my portfolio, it is specifically geared towards dividends, meaning that when stocks go up, my portfolio will go up too, however, at a much lower rate than the rest of the market. But when it falls a lot less. And we can actually see this right here, because at the beginning of the month, we can see that my portfolio lagged the NASDAQ for quite some time there, and even at some point began lagging the S&P 500 as well. And then since the beginning of June 1st, because of all of these uncertainties when it comes to all these riots, as well as Israel bombing Iran and everything crashing because of the uncertainty of possible world war, stocks fell. However, we can see that my portfolio did not fall too much. My portfolio ended so far at 2% up, while the S&P and NASDAQ ended at 1.17 and 1.57% up, respectively. And the Dow Jones actually ending on the 13th down 0.08%. Now let's head over into what I bought and what I sold. Now, obviously, if you guys have seen the channel here for at least the beginning of the month, you'll know that I made quite a pretty penny when it came to AVGO and NVIDIA. In fact, here are the two sales that I made for the month of June so far. I sold my Broadcom position on the 3rd for $255. I had 115 shares of it. I bought it, guys, at around $75 average share cost. Sold it for $255, made a total of $29,372.82. The same deal when it came to NVIDIA. I bought 10 shares back when it fell during Liberation Day to $98, and I bought around 10 shares at that price. I sold it for $141.36, or a total of $1,413.64. Combined, this was upwards of almost $31,000. And while most of you might say, oh my goodness, that is such a great, profits. Guys, this is not what I preach, right? I do not preach buying a company and then selling it. What I preach is what I did next, which you guys can see right up here. On the 4th, I bought some JEPQ, an ETF that generates a whole lot of income through covered calls. So not necessarily telling anybody to buy into this ETF, because you should know about it before you buy into it. And so I decided to buy JEPQ using these profits from this sell, and I bought 577 shares for a price of $52.54, $30,314.60. And the reason why I did that is because this is basically my goal for myself, and that is passive income through dividend investing. And buying these 577 shares increased the dividend income by a whole lot. Now, you guys are probably looking at this and you're like, well, it really hasn't changed from the previous. However, if you take a look at the next 12 months, it will. But for now, we can see that the estimated yearly income, it is $8,697 with an average monthly income of $724.75. Now, if we actually take a look at so far this month for June, we can see that the portfolio has generated $653.28, as y'all can see right there. And remaining is still $424.13. And here we have where all of that money came from. We got on the 2nd, Church & Dwight paid 59 cents. On the 2nd as well, First Energy paid out $12.02. Then on the 2nd, SJM paid $28.08. And then on the 4th, JEPQ, which is the one that I bought, paid $63.94. Now, most of you are probably saying, wait a minute, I thought you bought like so much more. Why did you only get $63.94? The dividend yield on this thing was 11%. Well, I bought it after the ex-dividend date. So it is what it is when it came to that. However, I will show everybody how much the dividends are going to increase in the next 12 months. But that's the reason why this is only $63.94. Then on the 6th, Amgen paid $83.30, as well as Southern Company paid $62.76. Then one of my biggest positions, Chevron, paid $218.88 on the 10th, as well as Johnson & Johnson paid $37.70. Then on the 12th, we got Microsoft paying out $8.30. Then on the 12th again, 3M paying $48.82. And lastly, on the 13th, which was on Friday, we got Realty Income paying $85.93. So I'm hoping that all of y'all can see exactly what I mean by financial independence, and that the stock market is still the number one, at least for me, the number one way to actually make passive income and, again, be financially independent. However, if that did not sell you onto this, and it's not like I'm trying to sell anybody anything, but I'm just trying to give people some hope here, right? Some hope when it comes to their financial future. If that did not sell it to you guys, I am going to look into the next 12 months, which is actually a much better representation as to the estimated yearly income than what we have seen so far, mainly because this current 2025 includes months that have already passed that do not take into account any new increases of me buying shares. And if we take a look at the next 12 months, that yearly number changes a whole lot. In fact, it goes from $8,000 to now $10,521. This was the effect of me buying JEPQ. And we can see that, yeah, $10,521.79. Monthly average of $876.82. Again, guys, that is an increase of about, what, close to $2,000. Again, it's a really, really amazing thing that stocks are able to do this. So looking at these next 12 months, we can see that for July, for the next one, it is going to drop mainly because it's the beginning of the quarter. Most companies do not pay out at the beginning of the quarter. July will be $627.29. August will be $650.30. And September, $1,348.19. And that's assuming that I don't buy anything more in between now and September. And not only that, guys, JEPQ will probably increase the dividend or decrease the dividend depending on the volatility of the stock market. But it should be roughly around $1,300. So yeah, there it is. It's not all lost when it comes to Gen Z and millennials. You just have to know other means to actually do this. Now, when it comes to the stock market, here's the thing. Yes, this is essentially free money. It's not really free, but it's money you don't really have to work for. But you do, because you have to work in order to invest, in order to get this back. But you're basically creating a machine that will work when you can't work, in holidays, right? During the weekends, during the holidays, during time where you're ill, all of this stuff. You are limited to the time that you're able to invest out of your own life. However, money has unlimited time. So that is why I personally promote this kind of thing when it comes to the channel and even the portfolio, because I fully agree with Tim. It is extremely ridiculous that somebody making the median wage in the United States can't afford the median house. So this is one way that you kind of circumvent that. It's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of sweat, a lot of working to the bone, but the dream is still alive. It's just a little bit different. So that pretty much does it, guys, for this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. It really does help with the algorithm on YouTube as well as Rumble. Make sure to follow us on X at Fatal Investing. And of course, if you'd like to join us on the Discord, the link to that is in the description below. Make sure to subscribe and of course follow, because we got one more of these dividend update videos for the end of the month, covering the entirety of the month and see how my portfolio has been affected by it. So with that said, peace out, and we will see you all next time.